Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister-in-law out after she threw away most of my single-use baby products and even formula? I'm 19 female. I have a 3-week-old baby girl. I do still live with my parents, but since I pay rent equally, they say I can have just as much of a say in who comes and goes from the house as they do. I've never actually taken advantage of this rule until recently enough. I have a brother who's 26 and his wife is 24. They are crunchy parents to an 8-month-old. Basically what that is, freaking stupid. They use reusable wipes/nappies. Think formula is the epitome of evil. Baby wearing, the list just goes on. While I'm the complete opposite. Pacifiers, supplementing with formula due to low supply, disposable wipes and nappies. They are completely against the products I use. It often give me things like sister-in-law's milk in bags, disposable nappies their little one has grown out of, etc. I've used some, but it's not really my cup of tea. On Monday nights, my brother and sister-in-law were minding my baby for me since it was my birthday, and my baby's father, not together, very close friends and co-parents, took me to get some dinner in one of my favorite fast food places. It was great and really relaxing. When I got home that evening, my sister-in-law said that she did some cleaning and threw out anything I don't need. This immediately gave me red flags, but they were in a hurry to get out the door and left almost immediately. When I went into the nursery, every disposable nappy and wipe pack was gone and replaced with some reusable cloth ones. Same with my formula. There were 8 tubs and all of it was gone. I'm not able to replace them at the moment, and solely breastfeeding isn't sustainable for us. I was extremely angry, and I just turned my phone off to avoid being mean to my sister-in-law. Then she and my brother came over yesterday to collect something they forgot, and that was when I confronted her. I told her she has to replace everything she dumped, which she said she can't afford to. I said fine, just get out and don't come back until I've been reimbursed or everything is replaced with original items. My brother thinks I'm being a massive a-hole, and he's on his wife's side. Our parents think I'm being completely reasonable here, but they think telling her essentially not to come back is taking it too far. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Throwing away unused disposable diapers is even worse than using them and throwing them away. They're still going to the same place, but have now doubled. Formula is expensive, and you say you're supplementing. Your baby's still getting breast milk, but needs a little more. That's why formula was created. Your sister-in-law was way out of line. Even if she doesn't agree with your parenting style, she has no right to sabotage it. It's the baby that will suffer. She needs to replace it all or give you the money to replace it. I'm actually using formula around 80% of the time. Baby gets breastfed 1 to 2 times a day, and even after that, sometimes a bottle is needed because I simply just can't produce much. Any amount of breast milk is a wonderful gift to your baby. Keep up the great work and don't let your sister-in-law get you down. Breastfeeding advocates are extremely judgy. It's a cult. I did it for a year and was almost defeated by books promoting the notion that there is no such thing as low supply. I had plenty of milk most of the day, but my supply was indeed low in the evenings. That was not in my head. It was real, but they're not above mind games. I recall the trauma of my evening failures, crying because I'd come to believe the formula was poison and I was poisoning my baby. Obviously, I woke up to reality eventually. I encountered this, and I nursed for 2.5 years. I started giving kiddos some whole milk in a cup around 9 months. In one group I was in, you would have thought I'd fed them a couple shots of insecticide. OP, fed is best. Bottle or otherwise is irrelevant. So she saved the environment by throwing away all of your supplies? Makes sense. Not a hole. And your sister-in-law has a screw loose. I'm sure she has a replacement screw somewhere. It's reusable after all. Although I think she might need to replace all of them. I'm sorry, Opie, but your sister-in-law is out of her mind. Talk about waste. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that his bereaved brother has to leave after he made my son wet himself? Hear me out, please. My husband's brother Ryan lost his late fiancée to brain cancer 10 months ago. It was a tremendous loss, and he struggled a lot with grief and stopped working or seeing family and friends. My husband and I helped with many things. We sent Ryan meals and clean clothes, but he never touched them. He used to live at the apartment he and his fiancée lived in, but he couldn't bear even sleeping there because he said everything reminded him of her. So he asked if he could move in with us till he could sell the place. Ryan's got better after staying with us, but recently Ryan's been keeping the bathroom busy for periods of time at day and especially at night. There were times when me, my husband, my 7-year-old son needed a bathroom and it wasn't available. Ryan would walk in, lock the door, and stay there for some time. Don't know what he's doing in there and it's not my business. I never ask, but politely ask to not keep the bathroom busy at night because my son frequents the bathroom at night and should find it available, or at least if he was using it, and my son knocked, then it's a sign my son needs to go. He said he understood. But Monday at 2 in the morning, my son woke me up saying he needed a bathroom but his uncle kept it busy, resulting in him wetting himself after he tried knocking and waiting for 10 minutes. He said he told his uncle he needed a bathroom to pee, but his uncle told him to hold in a little longer. I was pissed after I cleaned my son up. I talked to Ryan in the morning. It argued about ignoring my son's need to use the bathroom and turning him away and making him to wet himself. Ryan said my son could have held it in for a few minutes, and that my son must suffer from medical condition to wet himself like that. My husband said it was no big deal, but I told him this is affecting my son's life, and his brother needed to either stop blocking the bathroom or go stay somewhere else. He shamed me for treating his bereaved brother this way, but I asked him if he was okay with our son developing health issues by wanting him to hold in all the time. He said his brother's struggling with grief, in need of space, but I was too hard on him over a small issue. I insisted that he leaves, and my husband said I'm usually overreacting. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Possible substance usage. Your brother-in-law will traumatize your child if you continue to let him live there. At least for your child, stand your ground and have him move to another place and get him the help he needs. Also, your husband is an inconsiderate a-hole for jeopardizing your child's health. Having to hold pee can cause many problems. He's probably staying out of his brother's way out of respect. But 10 months on is when he needs to intervene or get him outside help. Not the a-hole. What a sad situation. To be honest, I'd be willing to bet a month's rent that your brother-in-law has become addicted to something while trying to deal with his grief. I think he's hogging the bathroom to use. It's a super tough situation, and I feel for your brother-in-law. But it's only natural that your child comes first. You wouldn't be an a-hole for kicking him out. Maybe it's time to ask him what he's doing in there. Make a plan based on his reaction. Get him some help, maybe. It never even dawned on me that it was drugs, but I bet you're right. Not the a-hole. Epi, it's time for your brother to get professional help. After 10 months, either he's not learning to function with his grief, or he has found other means to cope, but both of these ways are having negative impacts on a young child. Your son does not deserve to live like this. Not to mention the emotional and psychological impacts this will have on him if he continues to be denied access to a bathroom until he urinates on himself as a potty-trained child. Your brother-in-law needs help, and he needs to get out of your house, into a place, whether it's another family member's home, a facility, a roommate situation, whatever, where he can get the help he needs without placing your son in such an awful position. Your husband needs to get on board. You are not overreacting. Physical too. Holding in urine can cause all sorts of medical issues, including infection. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not grounding my stepson for not eating my mom's food and talking back? This might sound weird, but my stepson Joey talks like a grown man. He's 9, but oh my, he's such a gentleman. He has a smart mouth and talks in a witty manner, and he has a personality of a 30-year-old. Admittedly, he takes after his father and picks on a lot of what his father says. Another thing I noticed is that he tends to act protective of his dad. How do I explain it? For example, when my husband introduced me to him first time, he told me to take care of his dad and not make him cry. My response was to laugh, but felt a bit intimidated, honestly. So, Joey brings his own meals that his dad cooks for him when we visit my parents on the weekend because of his allergies. Mom complained about it, saying we were spoiling him rotten by letting him disrespect table manners and not eating what's presented at the table. I explained that Joey isn't doing this because he's a picky kid, but he has food allergies and intolerance, so she should understand that. But every single time we visit should give us grief because of it. Last weekend we visited for dinner and there were formal guests. Joey brought his own meal and joined us to eat at the table. Mom saw his plate, got up from her seat and said, "No, you don't. You're eating what I cooked tonight, mister." My husband gave her a look. I told her to stop, but she said she got this, then proceeded to grab Joey's plate. Joey moved it out of her reach and said no. I said, "Mom, leave him alone. But she threw a fit and lectured me about how Joey's being spoiled and will be fine if he ate what she put on the table. She tried to convince Joey to hand her his plate, but he refused. She tried guilting him, saying Grandma will be upset if he didn't eat what she cooked and will cry because of it. That's when it told her in strict voice, "Cry me a river, build a bridge, and get over it, lady. I'm keeping my dinner." She was shocked, but everybody else started laughing. My husband's face turned red and he just paused. Mom walked into the kitchen and was so upset. She lost it after the guests left and said Joey was behaving like a spoiled brat with his god-awful, slick attitude and talk-back nonsense. She demanded I step up, get a grip, and start showing him consequences by giving him a punishment for what he said/did. I told her he has allergy and cannot eat her food, period, and nothing's gonna change that. She got more upset and claimed I avoid punishing Joey just to please my husband. She literally cried, saying she got embarrassed in front of guests, and I should punish Joey for his attitude towards her, but I refused. My husband wanted to apologize, but I saw no need of it. She hasn't been speaking to us ever since. Now for the comments. Not Day Hall. I told her he has allergy and cannot eat her food, period. I'm assuming that Grandma doesn't cater to his food needs. I'd just stop visiting Grandma if she's upset about him not eating food that can harm him. If she wants to see him, she can meet at your house where he can eat food that he is comfortable with. Sounds like the kind of grandma who'd feed him something that he's allergic to on purpose just to see. But Grandma's right. You do need to show the spoiled brat that there are consequences for their actions. She just needs to understand that she is the brat. No more visits to Grandma's. Not Day Hall at all. Food allergies are nothing to mess around with, and your mother needs to understand that. She wouldn't listen to first, or second, or third time. Both you and your stepson said no, and then she tried to emotionally manipulate Joey. This is 100% on her, and she should honestly be ashamed. Which is the point at which the father and Opie both should have stopped bringing him over there and inflicting this on him. Not Day Hall. She embarrassed herself. Joey sounds like a legend. Good on him for standing up for himself, although that is actually your task, not his. Right? I'm saving that clap back for future use. Lol. Brilliant. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for buying my son's matching gifts and not getting anything for my stepchildren? I married my husband 15 years ago. He was no longer with his kid's mom. They were never married, had their first kid senior year of high school and stayed together for 5 years. Ever since we said I do, things have been rocky. My stepkid's mom ended up being left at the altar, and it made her bitter toward me and my husband. To make our lives just as hell as hers, she started to alienate the kids from us, would encourage them to run away when alone with me, tell people I had kidnapped them, etc. Would tell them I had been the other woman who seduced their dad and made their family break up, etc. It lasted for 3 years, and that's when the kids eventually came into our custody and she was ordered to attend therapy and parenting classes. 2 years later, she started getting weekends again, and then parenting time was back 50-50. But she resumed her crap talking. What makes it worse was even with them living with us full-time, having them in therapy and doing family therapy, the kids still believed everything they had been told. We had 2 kids of our own during all this, our boys, and my stepchildren never accepted them as their brothers. Then when they were all teens, they decided to spend most of the time with their mom. It was tough to see how things had gone, but we had to accept it. My stepkids are now 23, 21, and 18, and my boys are 7 and 5. The youngest one graduated high school this summer. That was when the kids got together to tell my husband that they were having a dinner for the youngest's graduation, but I was not welcome and neither were our boys. That there was no place in their lives for us and we were not welcome to try and play a part anymore. It was upon reading that when I decided I would just be done. No more open to anything or hoping for more while accepting their boundaries. I would just be done. And after that, I went out and I got my boys a gift I had wanted to get for a while. They're little matching items that I want to give them someday, but I'm not sure when yet. Each item has a personal message from me to them on it. My husband knew about it. One day, my sister-in-law was over to borrow a pair of earrings, and she found a gift while helping me search. She then told her parents, my husband's parents, and the 3 of them confronted me and said I should have bought something for my stepkids too. That while things are bad now, I have been a mother figure in their lives since they were young, and I shouldn't give up on our relationship. And not getting anything makes it a certainty that things will never get better. My husband told them I don't need to keep getting crapped on. But are they right? Am I the a-hole? If you and your children are not welcome, then neither are your gifts. Not the a-hole. The stepkids are all now legally adults. And while it's sad and disappointing they've chosen to entirely exclude their stepmother and half-brothers from their lives, they're allowed to do that. And it sounds like Opie and her husband are in agreement that if they want nothing to do with her and the kids, fine. But she is under no obligation to try and be nice anymore either. So long as the husband and Opie are still on the same page about their relationship with each other and with their 2 boys, it's now the husband's job to figure out how to handle his adult children. Not the a-hole. I don't even think it's about your needing or not needing to treat the kids equally or any history. The stepkids are now adults and have enacted boundaries. In my opinion, respecting that includes gifting. First of all, if all the kids were bio kids and the family dynamic was fine, I still would not expect 2 children who are 5 and 7 to be treated the same 3 adult men. Who would? Second, yes, they all decided jointly the Opie is not a part of their family. Okay, that means she has no obligation to do anything for them. Not the a-hole. If the stepchildren had been younger and closer in age to your kids, I would judge differently. But since they are adults and have informed you that you have no place in their lives, there's no way you could be the a-hole here. My husband told them I don't need to keep getting crapped on. He sounds like a smart guy. Not the a-hole.